This video is about a game style which is loved and hated. It was invented and pretty much stuck in one game. This is a video about tricklining in Skate 3. Today's a video I want to talk about for a very long time, and I've thought about, and I know I'm probably going to get mass dislikes just straight away from the video title, either defending or not defending tricklining, but I thought you guys might want to hear me out first, just to hear my opinions. Because these are my opinions, and you are entitled to your own. Please forgive me for the title, but this will be called Trickliners Suck, or Tricklining Sucks. I haven't quite decided yet. And this video, it's not actually talking about how they suck. It's just a title just to get the topic going. And I believe there's a lot of talk out there, which is a lot of people not liking trickliners, which seems a bit odd for me. Usual disclaimers straight away. I'm dyslexic. I can't spell, I can't read, I can't talk. I struggle so much with it, and that's why there's going to be probably a lot of cuts in my audio, because it takes me multiple times just to get a sentence in my head and put it out into words. So tricklining, let's just talk about what actually is tricklining. So tricklining is not, and I will repeat, not when people spam flat ground tricks over and over again to get high scores. What you're talking about there is called competitive. Oh, and which, by the way, I've made a video all about the history of competitive in Skate 3, which took me a long time to make as well, so I really suggest you checking that out. But tricklining is nothing like that. Yeah, it's got some similarities, but it's nothing like that at all as well. The tricklining is all about your style and how your tricks look and how your line is performed. And it takes a lot of similarity from realistic players, except from it's pushing the game's engine to its max and manipulating it in a way to your beneficial needs. We've got stuff like speed glitches to get you speed, wall rides, flipping on flat ground. There's also trail pops, shifty pops. So we've got multiple things which have helped us within the game engine itself to trickline. These are just many techniques that we use for tricklining, which helps us improve skill, improve complexity, and adds more uniqueness and variations to your line. Tricklining did start way far back. Unfortunately, the video is lost due to time and someone selling their channel. But tricklining was mostly invented by the community. It was a way of comp evolving to style. It started back in 2010, 11ish, where people were trying their best to get the most amount of points on certain maps, namely Mega Park, because everyone likes Mega Park for some reason. You can't find any other games anywhere else. The tricklining is not regarding points at all. It's at a certain map, yes, certain map location, but it's regarding your style. And it's evolved, I believe, with how comp was evolved as well. Comp always had an edge in the grand scheme of things, because of course there was comp in Skate 2. Tricklining wasn't fully evolved at this point. It was very basic, bare bones. And back in those days, those standards were literally like, the clips could have been about 10 seconds long. Well, just even looking at it from today's standards, it's just like, how did we accept this? But then again, of course, it was back in 2010. A different time, different techniques, different everything was found. No dark catches, really. Dark catches weren't found too much. They were normally performed at the end of the line because people couldn't land them back into a manual. People repeated a lot, so there's a lot of tail walks being repeated. There's a lot of everything being repeated. And it kind of evolved throughout the years as Skate 3 got older and older. And as people added, new people came in, tried new techniques, new mindsets came in and attempted new things which did work or didn't work. The tricklining had some set rules around it. Tricklining was named, I believe, after trickshotting, because the inventor of the name, Albert, I believe, related it to trickshotting, and he called it tricklining. And love or hate the name, that's what stuck with the community. Back in those days, Albert was a massive figure in the skate community. And with the population of the Rise Skating channel, tricklining took off then. It first, and it still has always been hated on, it was seen as a lazy competitive alternate. And the style wasn't very, I would say, unique there or then. It was very copy-paste, copy-paste. So why is tricklining so disliked? That's a question I can't fully answer, because it's just personal preference to some people. It's literally just like, they look at it and they think it's silly. They don't like it, which is fine. You can not like something. It's just like food. You can not like certain foods. But I believe it's because mostly the comp scene, and people relate it mostly to comp. People relate it a lot to competitive, which is fine because it has some similarities. But if you're doing this in a spot battle, tricklining in a spot battle, yeah, you may hit a sick line, but it doesn't really get you the most amount of points, which is what competitive is about. But I personally don't understand why it gets up. Like, I can understand people don't like it. 100%, you're all on. 100% I understand. But and if you say you don't like it, please just let me know in the comment section. I'm very intrigued to see why you just don't like it. But it's related a lot to competitive, which I believe when people see people trickline it in a free spot battle lobby, or if they are just doing it in a spot battle because they just want to have fun and just trickline, not really caring about points, then people just see that anyway. If people say it's like interrupting them in the middle of their free skate session, you can hide skaters if you like. In a replay, you can just hide the skaters, so he's no longer there in the back of your realistic line if you're trying to make it look realistic. Or if you want to, you can create your own private session. It's totally fine. It's not hurting anyone. It's just having fun with the game mechanic. I can understand why it's not liked. It's very sometimes artificial. It's very quote-unquote unrealistic in a quote-unquote arcade game. I believe people see Skate 3 as very much a realistic simulator, which it can be, but it's also got that like arcadey feel to it. The Hall of Meat. But back in the times of like 2010 to 2000 and I want to say 17, the only quote-unquote realistic simulator game out there was Skate. Now, of course, there's more realistic games out there like Skater XL and Session, which are, might I just say, really good games. Which, if I do want to do realistic, I go to those games. Like, for example, there is some people who really do not like tricklining at all. So when people posting their clips on Reddit, for example, I found this clip here and immediately just get comments like, this is just annoying and stupid. I don't understand how people can even do this sort of shit. There's button mashing and there's this how? You did this, but your version. LMFAO, Trickliners. There are some good comments. Like, people hating have no idea. Yo, what the fuck is there so much negativity on this post? He did some pretty cool tricks, I have no big deal. And then you go back to the negative comments again. It's called button mashing. Anyone can do it. Not true. Well, it is not true, because you're using an analog stick. There's no buttons you press there. Yeah, you probably press B to do a tail walk, or like sometimes you want to do a front foot, you press A or X depending on your goofy or regular. But it's a lot of skill, and a lot of practice goes into it. It's not flicking the stick randomly. For me, Skate 3, and for many people, it's always been that arcade feel to it, you know? It's kind of in between Tony Hawk Extreme Arcade and like Skater XL, in between there. So I can totally understand why people don't like it. I don't disagree with you, but I don't agree with you at the same time. It's just guys having fun, and they're not breaking the game. Yes, if they're judoing and breaking a lobby, yeah, screw those people. Screw them. And I can understand it gets in the way as well. If you're trying to do some like simple line, there's someone just skating along, like a bonk into you, and it's just going at the speed of sound. It can be quite annoying, I totally understand. We all respect each other's play styles. I love realistic players. I love how realistic looks. I love gapping. Competitive players, trickliners, people who just want to just throw themselves off the buildings and have fun with Hall of Meat. Go for it. So what are some features with tricklining? Like, what things have been found or things which have been implemented into tricklining? There's speed glitches to help get us speed to do amazing transfers, gaps, even just speed to do your line. There's out of bound places, so we use those glitches for speed to get height, to then fly over, to get out of bounds, to get to a new place to do your trick line. There's crail pops, there's shifty pops, there's flipping on flat ground, there's no comply flips, and there's knowing the world itself to know what to do and when to do the most complex stuff in your line. And to some, it still looks terrible and they don't understand it, which is totally fine. That's your opinion. But to others, including myself, when it's done well, it looks fantastic. And the amount of control people can have whilst tricklining is phenomenal. At the time, it was mostly Skate 3 Team the best, which was soon to be known as Rise Skating. There's a lot of hoops they went through to get their name. But it started off with them. It was invented not really by anyone. Yes, some people say that Albert invented it, but I would disagree with that. How did it start? Who invented it? It's a bit of a touchy subject within the Skate 3 community. A video a long time ago on the old Rise Skating channel before it was gone, I believe Albert made a video of him discovering the name or coining the name tricklining. And that's how it got its name. And I believe in that video as well, he related it to trickshotting in Call of Duty. At the time, it was very bare minimum. It was very short lines, not very complex tricks, very few flips, if any flips really at all. And it was only just like about a line about 5 seconds long. So what makes a trick line a trick line? Well, normally it must consist of a flip, so body flip, not like a trick flip, so a body flip, a revert, so that could be a nose manual revert, a regular manual revert, or if you wanted to, if it looked cool, just a regular revert. And a transfer, so that could be a transfer from on top of a building to a bank. It could be going from ramp to ramp, as long as it has a transfer. So a flip, a revert, and a transfer. But those rules, they aren't really followed too much to this day. As long as it does mostly have a flip and a transfer in, the revert isn't too big of a deal breaker, but it's just still good to have, because reverts do slow you down a bit. And where was pretty much the one place everyone would go to do these trick lines, Mega Park. Sutra Ultra Mega Park. And not gonna lie, looking back on it now, oh my god, how did we accept this? But that was the standards for those days. It was very short clips, very minimal. And everything was done on easy, which does raise a lot of arguments. But why easy? Why not normal? Why not hardcore? Why not motorized? Yes, that's a real game mode. It's in the game, but it's not accessible unless you mod. Never mind. So, easy gives you that benefit of doing the most with the game's engine. You can flip on flat ground and land it. You can flip on normal and hardcore, but landing it is impossible. But you can flip on flat ground on easy mode and land it. No comply flips work as well on easy. It makes you flip in time, and you can do it quick enough to land back into a manual if you like, or just land as normal. Transfers as well become more accessible. Normal and hardcore, you're a little bit more restricted because, of course, it makes it a more realistic playstyle, or it makes a more realistic experience, you know? So gaps like this, so transfer like this, is possible on easy mode. However, in normal and hardcore, fail, and it's not possible to do anymore. Easy also helps you keep your speed a lot more, which is great when it comes to doing no comply flips, revert flips, or even just making the next gap, transfer, ledge, anything that you want to jump off of, trick off of, or just doing anything. And tricklining took a little bit to evolve. Another thing was found with something called nollie pops, or alternatively, ollie pops. And what are these? Basically manipulating the game's engine. If you get a lot of height off of a ramp and then land on a bank transition in an ollie or nollie and or pop a trick, any trick, nollie tray, dark catch, nollie 360 with heel or whatever, it will pop you back into the air. This being beneficial because then now you can now do another flip in your line. This was mostly used in Mega Park lines, right on this ramp here, but this could be applied to anywhere else in the map. It doesn't just have to be Mega Park. For example, if launching off this ramp at the ditch and landing here, I can pop again to get a little bit more height. And it even works on flat ground, popping off a car and then landing on flat and popping your ollie or nollie. As competitive evolved with the seatbelt dart catches, the competitive scene learned how to do a dart catch 360 back into a manual, which helped keeps your combo going because every trick before was normally just like 180'd. Now you can do 360s. Before, 360s used to slow you down a lot, lose a lot of your speed. People haven't really figured them out to be properly worked to help keep your speed and momentum. So normally they were done at the very end of the lines as like the finisher, and that pushed tricklining in the correct direction to where it is today. That simple back into a manual evolved tricklining just in the right direction. Now in this time as well, Skate.3 Team the Best recruited one of their players which was quite influential to the trickline scene, Skater. At first, Skater was quite like everyone else, you know, doing the same things and everything. But there was something about him which kind of just showed something unique. He was doing glitches to start off his runs straight away. That could be catapulting off of a ramp with an RB speed glitch, which already evolved the lines as they were, because now you're getting speed straight away. Height, speed, everything straight away. It's believed to be by the community that Skater was the first person to find the no comply flip. The no comply flip today is still used in mostly every line and has been adapted to then be bonus flips, which again pushed tricklining in its new direction, which then brought the new meta of to flip as many times as you can in a line. Adding the flip pushed it in the right direction again. As many flips as you can fit in a line, the more complex it looks, the more style it looks, the better. Soon after, unfortunately unknown, the revert flip. It was already known possible to be flipped on flat ground, but that you had to be stood still. There were certain tricks which allow you to do flips on flat ground on easy mode. So you can do a nollie back flip, you can do a nollie front flip. You can even do a tray flip back flip. But it was soon known that for some reason adding a revert, a nose manual or regular manual revert at the end of your line with a little bit speed, not too much speed, not too less, gave you just a little bit more height. And that little bit more height allowed you to then finish your lines with a revert flip, adding that more style, that more complex, that more uniqueness to your line. And there's no rules as well, so you could do that in the middle of your line if you could, but the thing is you couldn't be going too fast. So how do you do that? And I believe Skater also found this as well, map knowledge. So map knowledge also involves knowing what you can do, when you can do, how you can do. So we were just talking about the revert flips. They do also give you a slight bit of extra height when going fast, but it's just not enough to do a flip. However, if you add a slight ramp or curb into the mix, you can flip. So how is this possible? There's actually a line here where the world is slightly raised above the other. So if you go this way, you're going up, so you can revert at the right time and flip. However, if you go in this way, you can also revert, flip, and go down. It's just ever so slightly misaligned. And Skater was the first person to realize that and use that to revert flip in his trick lines, adding that complexity because of the map knowledge. How did he do that? How did he know to do that? So glitches have also been a great thing with trick lining because there's no rules. You can make it be unrealistically realistic as possible. So yes, you're limited to the game's engine and what it can do. It's still a skateboard quote-unquote simulator, but if the game allows it, use it to your advantage. Cannibal speed glitch. It was just that thing that we could use at the beginning of our lines. Straight away, using it to get some speed to no comply flip, add those in, mix those in together, or speed glitch to get to your next location or your next transfer, or the gap. Depending on what you want to do in your line, it gives you that possibility. And it now gives you that line which it previously wasn't possible because you didn't have enough speed, to it now being possible. There were some kind of like community set rules in this as well. There was burials were now considered not valid. Don't use them. I believe this is mostly because burials were the accidental trick, you know? It wasn't you did it on purpose. Most of the time when you saw a burial in a trick line, it was because you meant to do a different trick and that wasn't the right trick. It was deemed by the community not really clean looking, and if you had it in your line, it wasn't really considered a great line. I wish I would have known that. That would have helped me a lot. I did it until 2015 pretty much. A lot of it from then on turned to map knowledge. So knowing what's around you, knowing what you can do, where you can do it. Timing on the lines increased a lot. So the average went from about 15 seconds to then double it to about 30 seconds long. Sometimes even 45 seconds long. There was different flip rotations as well. So normally people who in Goofy were doing front flips with spins, and regular people were doing back flips with spins. And that's not to say that that was set to that way. It was just generally what people did, and it was easier. Repeating came into effect as well, so people stopped repeating tricks. That included grabs. Every grab wasn't just a tail walk in a trick line, it was a different grab trick, or with different variations of the advanced tricks, such as dog pisses, judo nosed grabs, air walks. And then that eventually grew to try not to repeat the same tricks over and over again. So of course you don't want to do dart catches every single time. Of course there's different variations, so like the normal 360 hard flip dart catch, and then you can do like a normal nollie 360 hard flip dart catch. Those count as two separate tricks. And people were also combining different styles with each other. For example, doing a hippie flip in a trick line, doing a massive gap in a trick line. And an old glitch from Skate 2 actually brought its way and itself into Skate 3 and tricklining. That being shifty pops and crowd pops. These were known about in Skate 2, but they weren't really had an advantage. Yeah, they could get you a little bit of height, but they wouldn't be able to do much because they'll slow you down a lot. You could flip with them, but you wouldn't be able to land it because you're stuck on normal mode only on Skate 2. This was done just by literally holding a grab, either a shifty or a crowd pop, depending on which one you're doing, and manipulating the grab and trick sequence so that it smacks your tail or nose on the ground and then pops you up higher, which then gives you a flip. And these have been added to lines, adding the complexity, because of course this glitch is a little harder to perform as it's a little bit more frame perfect than the others, and adds a little bit of style because you can flip with it, as well as it slows you down a bit. So if you're wanting to end your line and slow down, it helps a lot as well. And the best part about it as well is that you can chain them from 1 to 2 to even 3. What makes tricklining unique is it's invented and stuck in one game. With other playstyles like trickshotting in Call of Duty again, you can play it in first Call of Duty to the latest Call of Duty. Every Call of Duty you can spin around and shoot. Can you trickline in Skate 2? Kinda no, kinda yes. It's a lot harder because the easy mode option in Skate 3 is no longer there and you're only on normal mode, making your flips not be able to auto-complete for you or flip as fast. You can't land higher gaps or transfers, and sometimes the revert is a little bit glitched and makes you bail. But Skate 2 also has the benefit of also having a glitch which pops you into the air, you know? And that's what makes tricklining very unique. You can't do it in any other game. You can technically trickline in Tony Hawk, but just button pressing. It's not analog control. It's much more easier to pull off. Can you trickline in Skater XL? You can't body flip in that game. So, no. Same session. It's what makes tricklining so unique, especially as how it's found and evolved and just basically stuck in one game and a set amount of maps, and force people to think outside the boundaries. literally outside the map, on walls. You name it, someone has done tricks off of it. It's insane what the Trickline community has come up with in a game 13 years old almost. Amazing what they can do with map knowledge, and just amazing with where people are going to try and do clips, finding new areas in a 13-year-old game, and finding new techniques. And hopefully soon, with the new mod coming to the emulator, with Skate 2, Skate 3, new spots will be able to be found, maybe new possibilities with a new map. Even hippie flips on this new place would be great. Even be able to do hardcore on Skate 2 San Vanalona is going to be amazing. I can't wait to see the possibilities. But yeah, Trickliners don't suck. Trickliners are unique. There's every other skier out there. If you're playing a game and having fun, keep going. Keep being you. This has been Tricklining in Skate 3. Thank you very much for watching. And who knows what my next documentary will be. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day and or week. And as always, cue the outro.